Introduce myself. My name's Yvette Felarca. I'm a teacher at Martin Luther King Middle School. I'm also the head of a union caucus in the BFT and in the AFT called the Equal Opportunity Now BAM by Any Means Necessary caucus. And I'm a national organizer with BAM. And we're here because we want to make clear that Berkeley says no to the school district hiring Edmond Heatley, who is a superintendent who's associated with the Eli Broad Foundation, which is a pro-privatization, anti-public education think tank in the nation that specializes in busting public education, resegregating schools through pushing charter schools, and also attacking the rights of teachers and students with not just disrespect, but also trying to push policies that end up hurting the quality of public education for all the students. Edmond Heatley, in his last school district, suspended 1,500 students for expressing their right to not wear uniforms because they wore blue jeans in a coordinated protest. He suspended all of the students. We think this is completely unacceptable. How you treat young people and how you treat students sets a standard for how you treat everyone. And young people in Berkeley have a proud history that a lot of old people here are also proud of because they did it as young people, of expressing their right to think critically, to act independently, and to free speech. And we know that someone with this kind of policy and heavy hand is not going to be welcome and will not treat Berkeley students the way that they deserve. The Eli Broad Foundation and Heatley are known for having a dictatorial and heavy-handed style in the way that they manage schools, the way that they treat teachers and principals and students. In his last school district, Heatley was called one of the worst superintendents in Clayton County's history. But even reporters from the Clayton News who've covered Heatley characterize his tenure as a tenure that was mired in controversy and mired in policies that drove out some of the best educators from the school district. The Eli Broad Foundation is a foundation that doesn't just find people. Those who agree with Broad find Broad. So the fact that Edmond Heatley applied and got into the Eli Broad Academy says a lot about the kind of philosophy that he already holds and was trained in. That means that they believe in the free market, corporate style policies for public education. That means privatizing schools. So what does that look like concretely? It means pushing student test scores, so-called data-driven policies, looking at the numbers as a way to evaluate and judge not just students, but also teachers, principals, and the schools as a whole. The Broad Foundation not only pushes charter schools that lead to more segregation, more inequality in the schools, and in Berkeley, we have fought long and proudly and successfully to defend our historic voluntary school integration plan. We will not accept more charter schools in Berkeley, but it also means doing things like tying teacher evaluations to student test scores and tying teacher pay to student test scores. That is a new Jim Crow policy in the making. Standardized tests are not a model, and they are not a measure of a student or a teacher. Standardized tests are inherently racially biased and inaccurate, and all they do is justify further segregation and clamping down on some of the best and brightest students and teachers alike. We saw what happened in Los Angeles when they started publicizing the test scores of teachers, of their students, by teacher, stigmatizing not just the students but the teachers also. And that was under an Eli Broad Foundation superintendent, Superintendent DC, who also tried to cut art programs in the elementary schools in Los Angeles just last spring and tried to lay off 200 art teachers in the elementary schools in LA. Well, that's also what Edmond Heatley tried to do in Clayton County. He cut art programs, he cut busing and transportation programs. We will not let that happen here, especially when art and music and the electives and performing arts are so crucial to developing leadership in students. And all students, Black and Latino, as well as rich white students, have a right to develop their full potential and not have those programs cut. And our transportation program in Berkeley is the heart of our desegregation plan. And so we will fight like hell to make sure that we keep our transportation programs intact and, if anything, expand and fight for further integration in the Berkeley schools. The Eli Broad Foundation, and I'd imagine some members of the school board, try to justify their education policies from the cynical standpoint of trying to close what they call the achievement gap. But that achievement gap is really an opportunity gap. And so what that really means is, when they implement these policies, cutting the opportunities for Black and Latino students, more racism, more separate and unequal education. We say no to this completely. Our organization is committed to building the new civil rights movement and defending public education by any means necessary. And so what that means is, we are here to make clear to the board, we say no to Edmond Heatley. We know Berkeley says no to Edmond Heatley. Their entire process of even vetting him has been closed. They dropped a bombshell on the community last week when they announced he was their sole finalist. Our own union members didn't even know about the fact that this person was the sole candidate or his background until we started hearing about it from teachers in Oakland. And now we're getting the word out. It's starting to catch fire. More and more teachers and parents and community members and students are getting behind making sure that we stop this impending disaster. We intend to be here tonight and also every night until we are assured that the board is not going to hire him, that they're going to reopen the process and make it more democratic, and that we have a superintendent in Berkeley who represents the students, the teachers, and this community, not someone who's for privatization, more segregation, more inequality. That's
awesome.
it.
Right. Integration, not privatization. No to Heatley.
So I do want to encourage